Thursday. Of course, the show called Box Seats. I'm your host, Frank Holder. I'm here with the comedians known as Fig and Talent, who I say every day have been in the comedy game for a very long time. And they always make it seem like you guys have been in comedy since, the dinosaur era. These guys,
because I have.
Oh, you have? Oh, okay, that's what it is.
I want all my years, Frank. Come on, man. It's like a woman look at you and go, "Hey, what are you, 6'2"? Motherfucker, I'm 6'6". Don't short me 1 inch.
These guys have been in the comedy game for a very long time.
Especially inches, yeah. Very sensitive about inches.
They've been in, as you can tell, they've been in comedy since comedy been comedy. Since they came up with the name of the word comedy, they've been in comedy. Now we're doing a sports show that's called comedy sports show called Box Seats, where we talk about a lot of things in sports with a little bit of comedy on that. First thing I want to jump into real fast is, of course, I talk about the COVID report every day. I remember how guys have been telling you guys, we've been talking about what's going to happen in Indianapolis. It looks like some things are starting to fall off right now because Devian Harmon from OU, he's out, and Moses Wright of Georgia Tech, he's out. These are two of the biggest stars of their teams. They are out, and of course, they're going to have some repercussions from that. But now these guys are out. They got sanctioned from their team immediately, but they did it. NCAA did it so fast, they took them off the teams before they had to miss the game, which is, kudos to the NCAA. But still, when you hear players are catching COVID, you already know now COVID is in the bubble. So, Talent, when you hear that, what's your thoughts?
Well, the first guy that comes to mind is Fig, because Fig is like, listen, the bubble, which we know it worked for the NBA. I think it's bigger than just the theory and in name. I think when you think of a bubble, it has to be airtight, like what they did with the NBA. I mean, a lot of people can criticize it. It was extreme or whatever case may be. All I know is that the COVID talk was to a minimum, next to nil. You know what I mean? I think we had Williams one time when he went out to the strip club and had to quarantine. But other than that, they had it kind of airtight. So what kind of bubble they got, Frank? That's what we got to ask ourselves.
I agree with that one. Fig, what's your thoughts on hearing that the COVID is now in the bubble?
Man, listen. Excuse me. Clearly they didn't do it the way the NBA did it, because the NBA checked you several times before you were able to get into the bubble, and then once you were in there, you weren't able to leave for any reason whatsoever, unless you had permission. And then when you came back, before you actually were able to enter into the bubble and interact with other people, they had you quarantined for 2 weeks and test several times. Clearly, the NCAA did not do it the same way that the NBA did it, because the NBA, till this day, had 0 cases of COVID in their bubble.
Mm-hmm. There's nothing else you can say about that. That's it right then and there. Even though it's the NCAA, they don't probably have as much money as the NBA. Hey, they still got it. You know what I mean? COVID so far is undefeated. If it's going to get you, it's going to get you.
Man, I don't know why the NCAA don't have as much money as the NBA, because they ain't paying nobody. They ain't paying none of the players. Why they don't have the money?
Yeah, I was about to say that. You're right.
Because at the end of the day, the NBA is one entity, and the NCAA is full of all these other people who take their money. You know what I mean, with the schools. So yeah, it's not a collective thing. But let's move on with this Deshaun Watson story, this Deshaun Watson allegations. Because yesterday when we came on the air, let's follow the story, y'all. Yesterday when we came on the air, there was a Deshaun Watson allegation about sexual misconduct. At the time, they didn't even release what the sexual misconduct actually was. And it was released mysteriously the night before free agency was officially begun. Now, 24 hours later, there have been 3 allegations made by the same attorney. And now the attorney is saying that the sexual allegations were basically oral sex. And of course, the attorney is even saying that he has some text messages of Deshaun Watson, who said that he apologized to some of the females, especially one female in particular. Now, we all know, like I said yesterday, we all know this sounds absolutely horrible. Fig, I'm going to start with you on this one, because you were saying a comment before we came on the air, and I want you to finish your train of thought, because I thought it was very important what we were talking about. Fig, the floor is yours.
The first thing I'd like to do is just say that I think that sexual crimes are absolutely horrible. And I think that any woman who experiences this should be able to prosecute to the full extent of the law. unfortunately, there are some women that are lowbrow, of low character, and will use this charge or this type of situation in able to get money from a man. I don't see this thing. I don't believe in coincidences. This thing just seems way, way, way too convenient for me that Deshaun Watson, once out of Texas, now it's getting to the point where it's starting to look bad for the Texans, the Houston Texas team. And now all of a sudden, it's out of nowhere. These allegations come out. First is 1, now it's 2, now it's 3. The next thing you know, it's going to be 30 or 40 people, because here it is. Once one person comes out, then there are other people that come out of the woodwork because they want their slice of the pie. They smell the money, and then they want their slice of the pie. This seems way too convenient, and it just seems, the timing seems like way too convenient for me in order for me to believe that there's 100% validity to these accusations. And last but not least, no criminal charges. Nobody is pressing criminal charges. Everybody just wants money. Like, forget about the fact that these women are saying that you raped me. No, that's okay that you raped me. I don't want you to have to go to jail. I just want you to pay me. Nah, man. No, sir.
The floor is yours. And I think the most important thing in this whole conversation is, let's repeat this. There's been no criminal charges filed. And we all know how the NFL acts when there's no criminal files charges. So first of all, before I even jump to my next question, first you answer what you think about this one, Talent. Tell me what your thoughts are, then I'm going to ask my next question.
Well, agree with everybody. All three of us agree that the timing is very suspicious and peculiar, right? But on top of that, here's the funny thing. The lawyer said in the statement yesterday, this ain't about money. You know, this is about justice and blah, blah, blah. But yet, before that statement, they came to the table with a 6-figure settlement number.
Right.
And he said, no, I'm not doing that because, and I get it. Sometimes you got to stand on principle, because if I just pay you off just to let this story go away, to quiet things down, who's to stop you from grabbing 3 more random girls that I may have been in the same vicinity with to come back with the same thing? Because this ain't nothing but a shakedown. It's 2 things at play here. Obviously, on their side of the gate, it's a shakedown. And then also on the football side of the gate, there's bigger hands at play here, manipulating this thing. Because the timing is way, like you said, coincidences, I don't believe in them like this. Not to this depth. You know, all of a sudden, I want to go. You tell me I'm not going. And then here I get bumped, you know, these big speed bumps in the road that's supposed to, I guess, humble me, scare me, and make me play right.
Absolutely, absolutely. And let's look at it from this point of view. Before I even ask my next one, let's look at it from this point of view. This ain't Ray Rice. This isn't a woman getting knocked out in the elevator with video. This isn't, you know, it's not a violent crime like that. It's a sexual crime. And like I've just learned, you know, from my esteemed colleague, is that the new sexual crimes now are being carried out by people who call themselves masseuses. You know what I mean? So maybe that is something that's going on now. I don't know. I don't know how the sex crime about that stuff going on. But let me ask you, Talon, let me ask you this question. Let me start out with you with this round. Ask you this question. Do you think that the NFL and the NFL teams that are looking at Deshaun Watson are going to look at him any less now because criminal charges haven't been filed? And do you think this hurts his stock? Or do you think they're not paying no attention to it and they're going to just do what they continue on doing until criminal charges are filed against him? What you thought?
Right. I think that makes a world of difference. I think especially in the NFL. NFL is no stranger to people getting in trouble of all walks, of all levels, felonies to misdemeanors to shooting themselves in the legs and all types of stuff. So they're no stranger to these things with the players. Depending on the player's worth, and we all know Deshaun has a great deal of worth, you know, as a franchise player, and a championship top 5 quarterback. So his worth, I don't think is that tarnished. But I think that was not the point. I think the point was to scare him personally, to scare him and shake him, rattle him a little bit. You know, obviously this happened a year ago in 2020. And here we are coming up on April and May of 2021. what were you doing up until Wednesday and Tuesday this week?
Right.
If I'm the masseuse and I felt violated. Again, one of them was flown in to do the job. One, he goes to her house to have it done. I think that when these text messages come out, we're going to see two things. Yeah, we might see some apologies from him for how he made them feel, because people don't ever want a person to take something the wrong way. But I think they're going to dig deeper than that, and we're going to see that somebody had some sort of dealings greater than the narrative right now. The narrative that they're trying to control is that he just went and got a massage and hit him with his penis. That's what if you read the thing, that's how they put it out. Oh, he exposed the penis. He rubbed it against the hand while she was doing the massage. He said, "Don't use your knuckles," and blah blah blah. First of all, I don't know a masseuse that's doing a real massage. When they do a real massage, and especially a sports massage, they go deep tissue and everything. You're gonna touch all sorts of stuff.
Right.
You're gonna have a knuckle behind the ball. You're gonna have a finger too close to the anus. All types of stuff gonna happen in that massage. And you, as the man on the table, because they go hard, you're gonna cry like a little beer. Trust. So I know for a fact that the masseuse thing has been a thing for years, that people get extra stuff done. The word happy ending didn't come from nowhere.
Exactly. That's exactly right. Now
Disney does not have a monopoly on happy endings. Let me just say that.
Let me ask Fig. Let me ask you this: do you honestly think there's no text? I mean, there's text. There's no video. It's not that bad. Do you think, in your thought process, that this is going to hurt his stock? Or do you think that people in the NFL are going to just continue to do what it is? Again, it's not Ray Rice incident all over again. Ray Rice got caught. For those of you who don't know, he got caught. The NFL first said, no, it didn't really happen that serious, and everything else wasn't that serious. He was still employed by an NFL team, which is the Baltimore Ravens. Then he got caught on video knocking out his at that time, his girlfriend. Yeah, it's not the same crime, the same thing. But I'm only using that as a reference because at that time there was no video. Then the video surfaced. Now, right now, there's no video, and I don't know if people are waiting for something to surface, but text messages are definitely out there right now, supposedly from Deshaun to the female. What's your thoughts on this, Vic?
It has to hurt his stock because of the environment that we're in temporarily until it goes away, until a full investigation is done. It has to hurt his stock. No other team can come out because of the social issue. No team can really come out and take on a player with this type of public scrutiny on him, or these kind of charges pressed against him, even if it's not criminal. No new team can take him on right now, and I think that was the whole purpose of this thing coming out. Like Talon said, it happened. So it supposedly happened sometime last year, and conveniently now, after he's asking or demanding a trade, I want out of this. I want out of this team. I don't want to be a part of this organization anymore. Now, all of a sudden, these accusations comes out, which makes it almost impossible for him to get a trade to another team. And it's like, we're going to hold on to you by any means necessary. And let me just tell you this, just as my personal opinion, if I was him, I would quit football until I was able to get out of Houston. I would not play. I mean, if I could keep a roof over my head and food in my stomach, and I am not destitute, if I'm not facing homelessness, I would not play for the NFL until they got me out of Houston. This here would be another log plus gasoline on the fire to enrage me to the point where I would not play another down of football until I was on another team.
Okay. Okay, let me just move on to talent. I'm going to ask you this. Now, we talked about a conspiracy theory. We talked about the possibility of a serious conspiracy theory. We know some teams often take, like my Patriots that I had my theory with, and I had fun with y'all with that Pelican brief. That's completely off the table because Bill Belichick and they're not doing that. They won't do that. They got Antonio Brown out of there after one game. He was on the team 10 days after the allegation. So they're not going to play that. Some teams will not. But here's my conspiracy theory possible to this too. It could be that the Houston Rockets, not only are they trying to keep him, they're trying to control the narrative of the teams that they want to trade him to, which would take off the teams that he wants to go to, that he would possibly sign off to to be traded to. You know what I mean? Like now they can literally say, you know what? So what? Nobody else is going to want you. We could do a trade right now with the team that we were able to get you to, like the Jets or Miami. You know what I mean? Like some teams that they know they can get the most value because let's look at it like this. The shift has happened now. The power now has happened from Deshaun now back to Houston. You know what I mean? It literally has. And then negotiation tactics, because now they can say nobody's going to want you. So we're going to deal you the teams that we could deal with you with. You know what I mean? That's my thought process. And I think it was really calculated.
I mean, here's the thing. It's a scare tactic. Like I said, when you scare somebody, you know, and who knows what the threats are behind the scenes, right? So we know the surface in the optics, but who knows, you know, the threats may be lingering right now that it is criminal, right? And here comes, it's like the guy that, I don't know if you ever seen that story on Lifetime where the guy sets up for the woman to be under pressure or almost raped so he can come in and save the day, you know, but he orchestrated the setup from the gate. So this right here seems like that type of thing. I'm going to scare you a little bit. You're going to get scared. Oh, well, maybe they press charge. Maybe I'm going to go to jail. Maybe I'm going to lose my career. Like we all seen it happen to Michael Vick. So it's believable, right? So now I get a little scared, and now maybe I slowly start to backpedal like, okay, so y'all going to do this for me. Y'all going to make it go away, blah, blah, blah. And I turn back on the direction I was strongly pushing and say, you know, I'm going to hang in. Let's see what happens in another 2 years.
Right.
You know, let me just stay another year or two or whatever. That's what I think. I think it's a scare tactic to turn the direction of the player. You know what I mean? Right.
Fig, you agree with him? And do you also think that Houston is sitting back dangling the fact that they could basically charge him with some criminal charges?
I don't know if there's any criminal charges forthcoming. You know, in a criminal charge, you have to prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt.
No, you don't. No, you don't. Not to get the grand jury to get it.
What I'm trying to say, let me finish. In a criminal case, you have to, in order to convict somebody, you have to have proof beyond a reasonable doubt. In a civil case, all you have to do is tip the scales ever so slightly to your favor in order to get a settlement. Okay. A criminal case is what I'm saying is a criminal case is much harder to prove than a civil case.
Okay, so well, that's Fig, let me just stop you. That's not what I'm asking. What I'm asking you is, do you think they're dangling the fact of them going to charge him with a criminal case? Not that criminal charges will be filed again. Not that he will be charged and found guilty. I'm asking you, do you think Houston is dangling the fact over him saying, if you don't do this, we are going to charge you with a crime? Now, I know how the criminal justice system works with I'm a criminal justice major. I know how the system works. What I'm asking you is, what do you think about this? Because right now, the civil case is there. They got 3 women. They got an attorney dangling this. They could, because let me just say this. It's the NFL owners. They're very powerful. They're in Houston. It's not far-fetched thinking that they could be dangling the fact that they could literally get a grand jury assembled to charge him with a criminal charge. That's what I'm asking. Right. So
I believe that that's possible because it's in Texas, and we know about Texas, and we know how Texas does things, and we know the powers that we know that the people who are orchestrating this are very powerful people. They're very rich. They're billionaires, and like I said, it's in Texas. It supposedly happened in Texas. You know, so you could probably get away with something like that in Texas, and you know, he's a black man and he's being accused of something by more than one woman in Texas, and people are orchestrating it, wanting it to happen, then it possibly could. And if they do get away with the criminal charges, then it's quite possible that he's convicted. In Texas, absolutely, that could definitely happen. Will it? I don't know. I think it's a far stretch, but it is extremely possible and likely. And I believe something very similar happened with Michael Vick.
You know, the thing is, it's the thing that's shaky is the way that the temperature of the country is today. What we all going through, all that Black Lives Matter stuff. The way Texas is looking right now, overall, especially with, you know, against black people. I think this is all suspect. You know what I mean? I just don't like the whole thing. And I know we could talk a whole hour about that, but I'm not going to because we got other stories we want to talk about. So let's move on. All right. So the next thing I want to talk about is Vanessa Bryant. She released the names of, you know, the sheriffs who came forward and released the photos and stuff like that. She released the names on Instagram. The reason why I want to bring it up is because Vanessa Bryant has been getting from the sheriff's department, the state department, everybody dealing with the authority figures out in Los Angeles, actually in the state of California. They all are up in arms about Vanessa releasing the names because she supposedly didn't get the so-called permission to do this. Now, I'm going to ask you, Talent, don't you think, or don't let me put words in your mouth, what do you think was right? Was it right or wrong for her to release the names of people who supposedly took pictures and tried to sell the pictures in the sheriff's department, tried to sell the pictures to the media to make a profit off of it when they work for the sheriff's department? What do you think is your thought process of her releasing those guys' names?
Well, I think that they had to know that that's what she was going to do. I mean, she made it, to me, it was very clear from the beginning when she wanted the names that, you know, she wanted to put them on blast, like they had leaked the photographs and put it on blast. She wanted them to feel how that feels. You know what I mean? She may still do the lawsuit thing as well, but I think everybody knew that that's the route. So it's no surprise to me. And if you were one of those guys, again, when you do stupid stuff, the repercussions are right around the corner. You know, I think we have to stop being surprised with the repercussions of the stupid things we do. That was you had to know in that moment in time, you're doing something you should not be doing right now.
Right. I absolutely agree with you on that one. Fig, do you take the side of you agree with the officials, or do you agree with Vanessa Bryant releasing the names of the people who actually took the pictures and trying to degrade the names of the people who got killed, including her husband, trying to make a profit off that? What's your thoughts?
I think that the police officer should have been held to a higher standard because it's their job and their duty to be able to do what it is that they did, and I don't think that they were within their right to release those photos. Like, who gave them permission to do that? To release photos of her dead husband and child and the other victims of that heinous tragedy? Like, the nerve of them, of these officials, to be able to do something like that, and they're upset that she released their names. I thought that they would be held to a much higher standard than she is. She's just a regular citizen who's upset about what you did to her husband and her child and these other victims, and they're upset with her. They got a lot of nerve, man. I'm telling you, this in this country, I believe that police officers should be held to a higher standard of the law than regular citizens, because you're supposed to know better. How are you going to uphold the law if you're going to turn around and break it with no consequences? That means you're above the law. So how can you uphold the law that you're above? That doesn't make any sense to me.
You know what the thing is you just said something. I don't even know if you just said something that made me think. Is it against the law for the police officer to actually take a picture? I don't even know if they really broke a crime with there, though. You know, I mean, ethically, it's not a good thing. But is it against the law for you to come to the scene as a police officer and take pictures of the scene before everybody else gets there? I don't know if that's against the law. I know ethically it's horrible. You know what I mean? I
think as an officer it is, because it's a crime scene. First of all, like, we don't know what happens, a crash site, so everything is supposed to be kept, you know, tight knit for the people to get there and do their assessment. Now, if you're an officer, you have to hold that up. There's a reason why the first people who rope off the scene are officers, and the head officers tell the regular officers no one can come past this or keep those people at bay or whatever, because no one's allowed to see whatever that scene has to offer. That's supposed to be for forensics, you know, those CSI workers to come in there and all those investigators. So if you're a regular officer and you see what it is and you take some pictures, part one is wrong, but it becomes really wrong and I think illegal when you leak it.
Yeah, I one thing you said, I'm not sure if it's right or wrong. You said they rope off the thing like that so you can't see. I think they rope it off so you don't, muddy the site. You know what I mean? I don't know. But I don't know if it's so you can't see. You know what I mean?
Well, they try to keep you from seeing too, Frank. That's why they cover bodies and things like that. That's why they put up tarps and all types of cover, depending on what is in that scene. You know what I mean? Like when somebody got murdered in front of my house, right? The first thing they did was come out there. They put a tent up. They put a tarp over. They covered everything up. They don't want. We're right there. We look out the window. We can see it. They don't even want us to see what's going on because it's all tight knit. You know what I mean? Like they see me taking my little video from the window, everything. They came, hey man, you got to destroy that, delete that. Like we're on an investigation right now. We don't know. Nobody knows what happened. We know that somebody got killed, and we need to find everything out. And everything else is off limits. You know, so this is a crash. This is a helicopter coming down. Boom. We already know fires everywhere, smokes everywhere. There's people. We know that there's people involved. Forget that you know who it is. You know that there's people that have lost their lives in this scene. And what do? You're taking pictures, and somebody at some point said, "Oh, that's Kobe," and leak these pictures, and that's got to be illegal.
Big, do you think it's against the law? I mean, it's got to be illegal, I'm thinking, but do you think it's against the law for a sheriff to come on site and take a picture and then try to sell it? Because I know ethically it's wrong, but I mean, I think everything is right.
I'm not sure if it's illegal, but I can tell you one thing. If I was in charge of the officers and they did that, then they would be relieved of their duties immediately. Mm-hmm. You can't do that. I mean, what is the point in cover? Like Talon said, I know when in a crime scene, you don't want to, you don't want to like sully the evidence and stuff like that or whatever. And they put up the tape and stuff like that. But, they cover up the body so people can't see and stuff like that. But what would it do to the families to see their loved ones laid out dead like that? And then the people that you sell it to, then you're not selling it to them just for them to look at it. You're selling it to them for them to put it out there, put it out in media. If not in paper, but in video, the stuff that TMZ gets and stuff like that. I mean, they put it out there. They put the video out for people to see it, and then they put up a disclaimer like the video that you're about to see, could be graphic. So you might want to prepare yourself before you look at this video. Or who wants to see their loved one sprawled out like that? Your husband and your child. Who wants to see that? And we know that those were the ones that they were looking for because Kobe and Gianna were famous. So those are the people that you're putting out there. So it's a problem for her to release the names, but it's not a problem for the officer to release the pictures. I'm like, what are we doing here? What kind of society that we're living in where you could do something like that?
All right, so let's move on. The next topic I want to talk about, I think you all are going to really like this one because at the end of the day, I just saw this released up here and it got released in New England at that. First, yesterday's news was Juju Smith-Schuster was in talks with Bill Belichick to sign with the Patriots. But this morning, the news got released that the Jets are about to close on Juju Smith-Schuster. You know what I mean? And Juju could basically be one of the difference makers that's coming into, the Jets to help turn their organization around. Now that they got a new, or they will have a new QB, they're going to have that kid, the number one kid out of the draft. So when you hear all this news, Talent, Juju possibly going to the Jets and everything else, are you liking the fact that Juju, he could make a difference up in, obviously in New York? What you think? Talent, you're on mute.
We'll be happy. I think we'll be happy to have him in New York. You're right. He's a difference maker, especially where the team is now. We're looking at a good 4 or 5 pieces in the offseason. And I think he'll make a good difference in New York. I think he'll love New York. I think New York will love him more importantly, because that's in any sport in New York, any sports team in New York, you really want New York to like you.
Right.
You know what I mean? You can like to go to New York. People do it all the time. Oh, I'm signing with the Knicks. I'm signing with the Jets. Signing with the Giants. That's cool, but that's half your battle. The other half is, does New York like you? If New York rides with you, that's a whole different relationship. And I think New York would like you.
I think they would too. Like him and his tactics and everything, all that stuff. He does all that. Big, you're a Jets fan. Actually, you're more of a Giants fan, but I know you like the Jets too. So do you like the fact that Juju is going on to the Jets? Does it look good to you?
First off, I'd like to address the fact that I'm not sure if that's his real name. I mean, how many black guys did you grow up with named Juju Smith-Schuster? I'm just not sure about that. Smith-Schuster. I'm not sure about that. But I'm just joking, I think he's a dog, man. I think Juju Smith-Schuster is a dog, and I think New Yorkers will love him. Now, the one thing about New Yorkers, New York fandom, whether it's, Knicks, Nets, Mets, Yankees, Jets, Giants, we're really passionate about our sports, usually, you know, knowledgeable about our sports. And if a player is a player, you're basically a god in New York. And if he's able to impact the game enough to make the Jets a winning organization, oh yeah, man, New York is gonna ride for you. Yeah, I'll tell you like this. I'm gonna tell you how deep it is. Remember, Latrell Sprewell choked his coach, and what did the Knicks say? Oh yeah, we'll take that. Yeah, that's our type of dude. Bring him here.
We want him. He's a choker.
Yes. All right, the last question in the NFL, I'm gonna throw it out there, is that OBJ looks like more and more like he is not going to be in the Browns. Browns are shopping him, and especially his heavy contract. Tampa Bay is trying to get him. They don't have the money. They're going to try to make it happen, but Tampa Bay is definitely trying to make sure they get OBJ, because right now they have not signed Antonio Brown. They just, as of this morning, they basically made sure they got the tender offer on Chris Godwin. They signed that franchise tender, so they weren't able to get that green. So a lot of things are pointing to them being able to get OBJ, because you know what I mean? They're trying to fluctuate that contract. Word is even that Tom Brady might restructure his contract again. Why would you do that unless you're trying to make a blockbuster trade to get a blockbuster wide receiver to come in and play with talent? OBJ not going to Green Bay, but look like he might land in Tampa Bay. What you think?
I don't know. I don't see them making that happen. I mean, I'm glad he's getting out of Cleveland. Let me say that, because you know, I don't want him going to play again and mess up the mojo they finally got going. You know, but I see him finding another team. That would be dope. But again, remember what I said last week? I feel like he's one of those disruptors. You know, does Tom Brady need a disruptor right now? Like, he got a bunch of bad, for lack of a better word, delinquents, right? You got a nice delinquent team, but these are delinquents that look at Brady a certain way and respect him a certain way, that for whatever reason, nobody got no trouble last year.
Good point. Good point. Good point. Fig, your thought?
I think what Tom Brady does, or what he did, is he sort of brought along with him the Patriot way. And the Patriot way is, do you do your job and you keep your nose clean and you stay out of trouble? Because if you don't, you will be out of the NFL. Not out of Tampa, out of the NFL. And I think that's what Tom Brady did, man. And I think that's why when people go to the Patriots, or last year playing with Tom Brady, I think they fell in line because they knew that if you messed up here, this was the end of your career. OBJ has a sketchy background. He hadn't gotten in any trouble recently since he's been in Cleveland. So I think he has the ability to move on and do great. If he ends up in Tampa Bay, my God, and they re-sign Antonio Brown, that team will be damn near unbeatable. It'll be almost, if he goes to Tampa, it'll be almost like the Golden State Warriors when they got KD, provided that everybody is healthy. It'll be damn near unbeatable.
If he goes to Tampa, I don't think they'll sign Antonio Brown because they got Chris Godwin. I don't think they would. But hey, stranger things have happened. Now let me throw this out there, man. I want to talk to you guys about a couple of NBA issues that jumped off. The first topic I was going to talk about was the Houston Rockets. Before I even get to the Houston Rockets, I saw a news flash this morning saying that Kevin Durant is going to be out at least 4 or 5 more weeks. I'm like, talent. If this dude is going to be out anywhere from 3 to 5 more weeks, I think he's a lot more injured than has been news been released. And they try either that or he's trying to do a whole lot of game management where he could just play in the playoffs. What you think, John?
Yeah, he's too. Because now we all know KD is way too competitive to just be doing this to play in the playoffs. He already sat out a full season. You know, he was itching to get on that floor and play ball. He's a real baller. You know what I mean? One thing we know about KD is he's a baller's baller. Like he really loves the competition. He loves to play the game. He loves, stacking stats and going up against the best. So he's not doing this to play around and just win his way to the playoffs. I truly, in my heart of hearts, can never see that from KD. But like I said a week ago and a week before that, I said I think it's something more at play here than what they're telling us. It started with, he's gonna miss a couple of games. They tried everything. When people come with more than 2 excuses, it's something big. First it was he was around somebody with COVID. Then it was the protocol. You got to test them. Then it was the calf. Then it was a sprain. Come on. Now it's like, oh, he's going to be out 6 more weeks. Dude, what is it really? Because it's something major, really. Because if you add up these things, I think when people drop these little things every few weeks, it's kind of like they're thinking that they're trying to give the optics of a reboot. So, like if I say, oh, he's going to be out 3 more weeks, like you're only looking at that 3 weeks. No, you came out three times 3 weeks prior. Now we're at 15 weeks. What's really good?
Talent, everything you said is absolutely right, because if I can remember correctly, this is the week he's supposed to be playing. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but Fig, isn't this the week he's supposed to be playing? You follow the Nets.
Well, here it is. I think what they're doing is they're going with the Bugs Bunny Daffy Duck thing. It was like this week is next week, last week, and last week was this week, next week. So you can't really play this week because we said next week, last week. So it's not this week. It's a couple more weeks later. Basically, is what it's saying. I think this. I'm telling you, not only KD, AD. KD and AD. I think there's a problem with both of them, and they have injuries that nobody is really talking about. I don't think either one of them dudes is. I don't think we're hearing the truth about either one of them, because I didn't see 4 to 5 weeks. I saw 2, another couple of weeks. But you may be right, Frank. I'm not going to dispute your Pelican briefs, because you be getting news flashes all the time and stuff like that. So.
Listen, I don't know. I just got it. Somebody said to me, I don't know.
I'll tell you this. If he comes back healthy for the playoffs, everybody else is on notice, because the Nets is going to be a world of trouble with anybody that they meet up with. Anybody they meet up with, they're going to be problems.
Aren't the playoffs supposed to start? Not too much. I mean, the playoffs supposed to be right around the corner, if I can remember correctly. I don't know.
Because they just came back from from All-Star game. So it can't be. It gotta be at least another few, maybe another month or so.
It's got to be June, May, June. It's got to be around that time, right? It's around that time. Let me check. Here's the other thing I want to talk about, man. The Houston Rockets right now. I saw them talk about them this morning and everything else. I saw it and I listened to it intently. I don't know if either one of you saw the conversation, especially about the coach Silas.
Steven Silas.
I have a serious issue with the Houston Rockets. It's not because they're on an 18-game losing streak. It's just like one commentator said. It's not that they are losing. It's that the players don't want to stay, and they got a coach who has no coaching experience. So, and now you have a lot of players who want to leave. It seemed like he walked into an inferno. Like he walked into a no-win situation. So my question to you, Talent, is should they keep him on, and is he to blame? And what are they going to do? I mean, you could ask a whole bunch of questions about the Houston situation, but this Steven Silas guy, I don't think he got a fair shot. He walked into a burning barn. Like, you know what I mean? He walked into a burning barn. Now, he's going to be the one to take the blame when it all goes to hell. That's going to be on his name. So what's your thoughts, about this, Stan?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. We know it's not his fault per se. Now, the real question is, how much info was he privy to coming into that situation? Like, was there a meeting saying, listen, we're looking at potentially losing blah, 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 and we're looking at potentially moving blah, blah, blah. If you came into that situation, then as a coach, if you have say-so and picks and trades and all that stuff, that's one thing. It's a whole nother thing that if you just hire me as a coach, I come in there and everybody jump off the ship. Everybody Titanic this bitch. You're like, yo, where's the band? The band kept playing until it went down. That's right. Silas he's the band. So my thing is, you got to give this guy, you got to keep this guy, at least if nothing else, to give him another season. To me, the fairest thing would be 2 more seasons to see what kind of work ethic he puts in place, what kind of turnaround Houston can have, if any. But this right here, you can't chalk this up on him.
You know the sad thing about this, Talent? The sad thing is a couple of years from now, when you look back, you ain't going to look at the situation. You're going to just look at his record. You're going to look at his record. That's all you're going to say. Look at his record. Fig, what's your thought?
True.
It's just more of the same old stuff, man. I'm like, damn. Like, when does a black coach ever get an opportunity to walk into a winning type situation like Steve Kerr and Steve Nash? Like, we thought that the Steves had a hookup because Steve Kerr walked into Golden State and they was ready one step away from winning the championship. Steve Kerr goes to the Nets. They're one championship, 1 year away from going to a championship. Now we got Steven Silas. He goes to Houston and they getting rid of all of the good players. Like, what the hell is going on? It's like, and he's the only one that got brown skin. I'm like, yo, man, come on. Like, what I would do is give this guy, if you're going to give him a fair shot, you got to give him at least 2 to 3 years, clean house, give him all young players, and let him implement his system of playing basketball and how he sees basketball playing. You got these disgruntled veterans on this team that don't want to be there in Houston anymore, and they're leaving one by one. How can you ever get a team to win when everybody on the team is disgruntled? How do you lift the spirits of your team, you know what I mean, and put a winning type mentality in them if everybody already wants to leave when you get there? It's a lose-lose situation.
That's a great question. I wouldn't even know how to answer that question. Let me ask you about Lamellar Ball. Lamellar Ball made some comments about LeBron. Before I even address the comments he made, which I thought was super stupid, not even going to, I'm going to ask you, man, Lamellar Ball did something that most people didn't do. He went from high school, he went overseas and played ball. He came back, and his development now has been way better than anybody thought. And I'm wondering, is it because he went overseas and came back and he learned a different mentality of actually playing ball and came back and applied that to actually get into the league? Or do you think it was just luck of the draw and it just happened like that? I don't know.
I think it's a luck of the draw.
Uh-huh.
I think it's just a luck of the draw, man. And, he coming over here. And I think people slept. Here's the thing. The brother came in with so much hype that by the time he came into the league, because the brother didn't pan out exactly what people were thinking, so they was like, whatever. I think they kind of slept on this kid. I think when he came in, he didn't have the same amount of pressure. I think people was like, whatever. And he went in there and went right to work and made a name for himself like that. You know what I mean? So I think, like we always talk about people who are champion and people who are tested. Am I a funny comedian? Yes. And I go city to city. If it's just me on the stage and I'm stretching out, is one thing. But if people are expecting you and want to see if you're living up to that hype, they throw 10 people in front of you and say, now what you got?
Yeah, that's
you know what I mean? So I think his brother faced that and then he didn't.
I think that's a great point. I didn't even think of it from that point of view. Honestly, I think you could even say he's better. The youngest one, he's probably better than his brother. I mean, I don't know. But Fig, what you think?
Well, here's the thing. He's a younger player. I think he got a little more talent than his brother. But here's the thing that we have to realize. He's the youngest of the three. This guy had to go up against his two older brothers his entire life. Then, out of high school, you send him over to Europe, and he's playing with grown men for a couple of years. That sort of gets you ready for a grown man's type of game. Now you come back, and you're used to going up against people that are better than you. Because like I said, he started out with his brothers. Then he goes to Europe, and he's playing against men. I believe he was in Australia. He was playing with grown men, and he got used to being banged around or whatever. He got used to a man's type of game, a certain type of physicality. Now he's coming back and he's able to hone his skills even further as an NBA player and play against, some of the best players in the world. I think that did him a world of good. If you think about European players overall, like the Luka Doncic, some of the other European players that played from when they were like 14, 15 and stuff like that, because you can go professional in Europe much younger. When they come here, these guys are ready, man. And I think that helps them out.
Yeah, I think so too. The thing I wanted to next bring up is that I've been looking at the Andre Drummond buyout heavily, looking to see where he lands. And as a fan, because honestly, I want him to see if he's going to land in the Celtics, which I don't think is going to happen. I think right now, since he's talking to the Lakers and the Sixers, I think he's trying to win a ring. And I'll say this: if he closes in with the Lakers, I would not be surprised. But right now, the Sixers are making a heavy push for Andre Drummond. I don't know if he makes that big of a difference in the Sixers as he would the Lakers, because the Lakers right now, they really need an extra big man when the Sixers got a couple big men. Where would you like to see Andre Drummond land that, Talent?
Well, the brother's from Mount Vernon. He's from my hometown. So I would like to see the brother close to home. I think the Sixers I would like to see, for the simple fact that, I mean, we're watching the last 2-3 seasons of the Lakers. I'm tired of watching them go shopping.
Right.
They got enough firepower and then some to compete with the best of them. All they got to do is show up and play the games. However, the Sixers owe some get back to the league.
Right.
Teams like the Clippers owe some get back to the league. You got a lot of teams that, close but no cigar. So those are teams that you need difference makers. Even though he may not make the same impact on the Sixers, he's a body that they definitely can use, because Joel Embiid has been playing above his norm, and even in minutes. So you need another big guy.
Fig, what you think?
I think he's needed more in LA than he is in Philly. I think with the injury to Joel Embiid, you can give him a little. If you land a player like Andre Drummond, who is, I mean, this kid is double figure, like in a high double figure rebounds, block shots. He is a load to handle down low. He's like a throwback to an old school center, and he is a load to handle because he's strong and he scores a little bit. So I do believe he'll make more of an impact in Los Angeles because they don't have that type of player. But I think he would be more of an insurance piece in Philadelphia because of Joel Embiid's he's injury prone. I mean, it just is what it is. I can't remember one year where he's played all year without an injury. So Joel Embiid, although he's done great this year and he was, on a trajectory to win MVP, I think you need Andre Drummond to back up Joel Embiid.
All right, now yesterday was a big trade. PJ Tucker ended up landing on the Milwaukee Bucks. I was really surprised about that. I was like, you know what? This might be the thing that Milwaukee might have needed to help them move on. Talent, do you think now, because I saw this question this morning, I wanted to ask you guys the same question. Do you think now Milwaukee's under pressure now to make it to the finals because they added PJ Tucker? And I could actually say, in my opinion, I think the pressure really, even though they were debating back and forth, I think the pressure really lands now completely on Milwaukee to make, because they're making moves now. There's more pressure on Brooklyn, but I'm not asking you if there's more on who, but I'm thinking that there is a lot of pressure now on Milwaukee to do something, because PJ is going to come in there and add pressure to him. So, he's older. He can walk in like, we need to win, like today. You know what I mean? That's what I'm thinking.
Well, I mean, they one of the beasts in the East, so we know that the pressure was on them the last 3 seasons. But they get up there, like I said, close nicks, no cigars. Another one of the teams. PJ should bring that thing to take them over the top. So I think, Frank, to be honest with you, until I see Durant get on that court, man, I think Milwaukee becomes the team to beat in the East now.
Oh, okay. Milwaukee,
I think they shoot right back up to that top spot.
So Talent, you think Milwaukee's the team to beat right now?
Yeah, without until we see a Durant come back and see how that 3 plays together for real. Right now, it just shifted to Milwaukee. Okay,
Fig, what you think?
I think this gives them another piece. The thing that I like about PJ Tucker is, I'm gonna say this and just understand. I think he's a player's player in the sense that he is a man and a dog. PJ Tucker just brings it every single night. Hard hat, lunch bucket, old school type of construction type worker type mentality. Like, he brings it every single night, man. Can knock down threes. He's going to play defense. He's going to be physical. Like, he just brings another element to a team that a lot of teams do not have. And I think he makes Milwaukee a lot better, man, just because of his mentality and his approach to the game.
Now, here's my thought process. Actually, what Amir just said just now, I'm going to put up what Jameer said. It makes a lot of sense too. Everything Samir just said just now is true. Here's the thing. I think PJ Tucker coming there gives them options to go on the outside. I think they have shooting. Milwaukee has shooting. And I would not be surprised. I'm going to say this right now. I wouldn't be surprised if KD comes back, if Milwaukee still beat them, even with KD. And I'm going to say why. Because Guyana, Giannis, he's a different kind of player. You know what I mean? I wouldn't be surprised. I don't expect it, but I wouldn't be like, oh, wow, Milwaukee lost. It wouldn't shock me. This is what my thought process. Challenge you. Would you be surprised if Milwaukee beat Brooklyn?
I would be. I think if we get the Brooklyn team that we think we're going to get, meaning KD comes back healthy, and all three of those guys with their supporting cast are firing on cylinders. If everybody's firing, put it this way: if everybody is firing in full cylinders in Milwaukee and everybody's firing in Brooklyn, Brooklyn wins that battle to me.
See, I understand your point. And before I throw it to Fig, I get it. The only problem is Brooklyn don't play no defense. They just don't.
The only problem is, will we see all the cylinders fire?
Fig, what you think?
Can we get a look under there?
I'll tell you this. I did the funny thing about this. The funny thing is that I believe both of you are kind of right, but I believe in defense. You know that. I love defense. But the one thing about Brooklyn is I think Brooklyn is the one team that could possibly get away with it because you literally have four guys who on any given night could drop 40 points a game. You got you if they're healthy. Kyrie Irving could drop 40. We know James could drop 40. We know KD could drop 40. And the one piece that people don't talk about because they got the other three, Joe Harris. If you give Joe Harris open shots, he can knock down 40 easy. These guys all shoot over 40% from the three-point line, and you can't double team either one of them because you got three more dudes who can knock it down. So they might be able to get away with a little less defense than other teams because they're so potent on the offense.
So what you're saying, Talent and Fig, make sure I'm for the record, you both think the Brooklyn Nets are going to the finals. We could write that in right now.
Well, here's the thing. That's with cylinders. Let me keep my disclaimer out there. Let's be very clear. I don't think with 2 out of the 3 they go. I think with all the cylinders firing, all 3 of them got to be playing consecutive ball together. I think they do, but I'm very suspect. I would not put money on it that they'll have all 3. I just wouldn't.
The funny thing is, Talent is not going to make sure we forget that part. That you ain't not going to put that on me.
Let's be very clear. If they got everybody, because I think that if they're missing KD, I'm gonna say this clear. I don't care who's missing. If they only have 2 out of the 3, I think it leaves the East wide open for a couple of upsets for some other teams. However, all 3 of them there, they become the team to beat. We just haven't seen them.
I think, Fig, that all 3 of them will be there. What you think? You got 30 seconds.
I think all 3 of them will be there, and with the one caveat, if KD is not able to come back 100% healthy, I think if you got 2 out of the 3, whichever ones it is, and we get a healthy Blake Griffin, I think they can still win because Blake Griffin offers something else, another piece to the puzzle from the mid-range to in the paint that they didn't have with the other 3. So I think if you got 2 of the 3 and a healthy, strong Blake Griffin, I think Brooklyn can still win. I just don't know what Blake Griffin has to offer.
All right, y'all. That's the show. My man, Talent. Tell everybody out there how they can follow you, brother. Please let them know.
Hey, all right. Follow me, man. Before you follow me, just know that Fig, his last comment was because he was light-skinned. He had to bring up Blake Griffin. Anyway, you can follow me on Twitter at Instant Comedy, Talent the Comedian on Instagram, and King Talent Harris on Facebook. That's my dude, Comedian Fig.
Yeah, Fig, tell everybody.
You can follow your boy Comedian Fig on all social media platforms right there at Comedian Fig. And damn it, if you can't find me there, let me tell you what you do. You come to the box seats Monday through Friday, 1 to 2 p.m., baby. And you can find me right here on the box seats, baby, every Monday through Friday, 1 to 2 p.m. This is the best. This is by far the best damn sports show on TV.
Yo, that's the name of the show. The name of the channel is called The Humor Mill. I'm Frank. That's Talent. That's Fig. Y'all know where to find us. Y'all know how to find the channel. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Same bad time, same bad channel. Peace.
Yeah.